So a new book by the Washington Post reporters Phil Rucker and Kara Lenning goes behind the scenes to document former President Trump's final years in the White House. Seconds ago, literally seconds ago, the Washington Post released the first excerpt from the book, I Alone Can Fix It. And to discuss it with us now, senior political analyst John Avlon. The excerpt they released goes into election night in great detail. And what seemed to be a push among some to just go out and declare victory no matter what the result says. The book has a scene that involves former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani. I'm going to read that now. After a while, Rudy Giuliani started to cause a commotion. He was telling other guests that he had come up with a strategy for Trump and was trying to get into the president's private quarters to tell him about it. Some people thought Giuliani may have been drinking too much and suggested to Bill Stepien, the campaign manager, that he go talk to the former New York mayor. Just say we won, Giuliani told them. Same thing in Pennsylvania. Just say we won Pennsylvania, Giuliani said. Giuliani's grand plan was to just say Trump won, state after state, based on nothing. Stepien, Miller, and Meadows thought his argument was both incoherent and irresponsible.
Yeah, what you're looking at there is perhaps the genesis of the big lie. Denial, it's a strategy without any strategy, masquerading as a will to power, that somehow you could force this through, absent any facts. And Stepien and Miller had worked for Rudy Giuliani in the past, and apparently they knew enough to say, look, this is incoherent. This is irresponsible, which it definitionally is. But when you look at, see the big lie and how it unveils over the course of the coming days, weeks, months, it may have begun at that particular moment. Just say you won, absent any facts.
The former president was incredibly receptive.
Sure, of course.
And had been saying for weeks and months that if he didn't win, it was going to be rigged. So in essence, this was repeating the same claim that Trump was almost destined to make.
Absolutely. And here you see that sort of confluence between Trump's need and knowing how to play to your client in that case, just blowing up democracy in the process. This excerpt shows that Trump had been briefed by Bill Stepien to say, look, it's going to be a long night. Initial returns may look good, but then you're going to have more than election day balloting come in and things are going to tighten up. So he knew, as we had been reporting, that this was not going to be decided on election night. And yet he decided to go forward even that night and, build on that foundation of falsehood by saying that he had won.
I will say this also paints a story of almost everyone in that building and in the world knowing it's not true, except for the president and according to this, drunk Rudy Giuliani, and no one laying down on the floor saying, you can't do this. You have to stop telling this lie, or I'm going to go out publicly and say you are lying here. No one stood in his way.
No, because that's what happens in cult of personalities. And Donald Trump clearly wanted to take this tack, and his counsel was advising it, and the train went off the rails from there, from that moment inside the White House. And to be clear, I don't think it's, we should say that Donald Trump, necessarily even thought he won. He decided to lie because it seemed like the smart thing to do. It was emotionally satisfying for him to do so.
We're going to have Michael Wolff on, who wrote this book right here. And all these books sort of intersect a little bit. Wolff makes the claim that both Trump and Giuliani are so untethered from reality, it's impossible to know whether what they think is true or not. That those were the two who can't tell lies from the truth. There was deep concern, according to the Rucker-Lenning book, within the military. And the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Mark Milley. And there is this quote from this new excerpt just released by the Post, too. Around 10:30 p.m. on election night, with results from most key states still far too close to call, Milley received an interesting call from a retired military buddy who reminded him of his apolitical role as chairman of the Joint Chiefs. You're an island unto yourself right now, the friend said, according to the account Milley shared with aides. You are not tethered. Your loyalty is to the Constitution. You represent the stability of this republic. That's just chilling.
Yeah.
That the chairman of the Joint Chiefs is being warned and honestly must feel as if he has to stand in opposition to the political claims coming from the White House.
To the commander-in-chief, because he knows the commander-in-chief is eminently capable of trying to undermine the republic by lying about election results. So he's in effect getting a pep talk from an unnamed former buddy from the military saying, your loyalty is to the Constitution, which, of course, Milley had internalized and indeed echoed later.
He repeated a few days after that. Milley clearly thought, this is dangerous stuff.
100%.
I will say, this is clearly dangerous stuff. If the U.S. military is concerned about what the president is doing, that's scary.
And the U.S. military was concerned. And I think it just underscores, in this book, this excerpt takes us inside the White House on election night. There are a lot of these books coming on right now, but it should make clear to anybody who doubts how dangerous this moment and this election was to our republic.
Look, and again, this is a new excerpt from Philip Rucker and Carol Lenning.
Great reporters.
Later, we have Michael Wolff, who's got this book. We got Michael Bender later in the show, who's got a new book. Frankly, we did win the election. All three of them make the same basic case here, which is that there were people who knew how dangerous this was, yet didn't stop it. And that is something that is serious and needs to be discussed in much greater detail. John Avlon, thank you very much.